Today is Friday. I've been taking some time each day following the footsteps of Jesus in what would be his last days on this earth. Friday, the darkest of days, the day that God died. By midnight on Friday, Jesus had been arrested, and after a humiliating trial, being beaten and tortured, by 9 a.m., he was on the cross being crucified. Jesus went through torturous death. And from 9 to noon, he was humiliated while soldiers gambled for his clothes. From noon to 3, darkness fell over the land. And Jesus would die at 3 o'clock. In the book of John, John records this simple statement describing Jesus' final moments. In John chapter 19, verse 30, with that, he bowed his head and gave up his spirit. In chapter 10, John would record that no one would take the life of Jesus. By his own words, he said, I will lay it down. What would cause Jesus to give up his life? I'm standing in front of the Virginia Holocaust Museum, a powerful and yet dark symbol of the depravity of mankind that would murder over 6 million Jews, 2/3 of the Jewish population of Europe. No matter what you believe about Jesus Christ, most everyone would agree that his death was unjust, undeserved, and a symbol of mankind's worst depravity. Jesus willingly gave his life to be tortured and murdered without cause. But the cause is so much greater than any of us could have ever imagined. In fact, the cause was your life and my life. It was a statement, but it was more than that. It was taking a life to give anyone life who would believe in him. Jesus was more than a teacher. He was a sacrifice. One of the Roman soldiers who stood guard during the crucifixion was an expert in Roman torture. He had probably seen hundreds, maybe even 1,000 crucifixions in his time. But Scripture records a very powerful statement that he made. He said, surely this was the Son of God. What would cause him to make such a profound statement? Although he had seen many criminals be put to death on a cross, something was different about this crucifixion. Something was different because he was the Christ. He was the one who gave up his life. It wasn't taken from him. I challenge you to take a closer look at Jesus. You can study his entire life recorded in the books of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John in the Bible. No matter what you conclude after reading his story, nothing will change the purpose of what drove him to the cross that Friday. In Christianity, we refer to today as Good Friday, a pretty ironic term. But what's good about Friday is that Jesus gave up his life for a purpose. And the purpose was you and me. You see, none of us could live without sin in our lives, without doing something wrong. All of us have sinned and come short of the glory of God, the Bible teaches. But Jesus was driven to the cross to be a sacrifice for your wrongdoings and mine. Scripture says that if we confess with our mouth and believe with our heart that Jesus Christ was who he said he was, then we will be saved. I hope you'll consider the words of Jesus this Easter. We'd love to help you learn more about Jesus and what his death truly meant. We have 2 services today, one at noon and one at 7 o'clock. I hope to see you there.